Hello and welcome to today's webinar. This is Allyse Sedivy, and today we're going to be talking about what I like to call the elite cycle. The elite cycle basically means how we get to elite, how someone decides, I want to start this business or even share and become an elite, because the elites are basically the building blocks of our organization, right? It takes 3,000 points to become an elite. And when you have 3 elites, you become a silver. When you have 12, you can become a diamond. Everything is built off of elites. Now, first, I'm going to go over the ineffective way that you can build to elite. And unfortunately, this is usually the way that most people in the company are building. Now, I don't think this is bad. There's a lot of ways to build the business, but I do think it's frustrating. And with this ineffective way that I'm going to show you, and you're probably going to recognize, yeah, that's probably what's happening either to me, and if it's not happening to you because you're kind of an anomaly, then it's happening to a lot of people on your team. It demotivates, and most of the time, after a while, people decide, well, I love the product, I know it works. Instead of really building this business, I'm going to just share, or I'm going to just talk about it when it comes up. And unfortunately, if we could change and use the effective way to go elite, I think many, many more people will meet their goals and they'll become successful. So when we talk about a duplication model, like how to become elite, right? We need to remember that we can't use a duplication model based on rock stars or based on anomalies. Like if you are a gold or a platinum or a blue diamond or whatever, you're an anomaly. You're not average. And if we have a duplication model based on anomalies or people that aren't average, it won't work for the majority of people in the company. Our duplication model has to be based on the majority of people, so most people will become successful, so that when you look at somebody, no matter who they are, and say, yeah, I can show you how to do this, and yeah, I can help you meet your goals, you know with full assurance that you can, because you've seen it done over and over and over again, and you can say that with integrity. So let's get started. So we know that to become an elite, you need 3,000 OV. And you need actually that 3,000 OV in the same month. And we're going to tweak this just a little bit, and I'll walk you through it. And also, there's a little bit of math, and I hope it's going to be easy for you, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. So the ineffective way of building, a lot of people have to talk to 30 people for one class. And the reason why is because they're just talking, they're sharing, they might be inviting people just randomly to a class without sampling, or even if they do sample, they don't follow up correctly. And they're not waiting for people to have a great experience with the oils to invite them to a class. So usually what happens, the averages across the whole company are, if you talk to 30 people and you don't do it where you're sampling properly, following up properly, inviting properly, and then following up 2 days before and 2 hours before the class, and then giving a great class, well, 10 people accept that invitation. But these 10 people that accept, they're kind of weak. Like they're not super committed. They haven't had, all 10 of them usually haven't had a fantastic oil experience. And because of that, when there's 10 people invited to a class, well, usually only 3 people attend. And that's our numbers across the board. 30% attendance rates across the board. Let me tell you the problem with this. For new builders and even for mature builders, right? This is disheartening. This is discouraging. Because when you're a new builder or a new sharer and you want to have this great class and you think to yourself, okay, I want to make sure the kids aren't there. So I'm going to have, my spouse watch the kids so they're not around running around. So you make sure that the spouse leaves and the kids are gone. And then you have to clean up your house. So that takes a couple hours, and you wash the floors or you vacuum, you get everything set up, and then you want a display for your class, which I think is overboard. I know it's overboard for a duplication model. And then many times people have these cute treats, and they're spending a lot of time on this one class and a lot of money. I mean, just even the money that they spent in the samples or the money that they spent in the treats. And if 3 people come, the average of, first of all, is disheartening when only 3 are there and you're expecting 10. I once had a class that literally I thought like dozens of people were going to be there. And the lady that was hosting the class, and obviously I didn't prep her well, this was at the very beginning of doTERRA, she had like a plate of cookies to feed like literally 40 or 50 people. And 1 person came with their daughter. It was super disheartening for her. And how many times can this happen before they just say, you know what, this is just too much work? Because the average person, the average class with 3 people, only 1 person buys a kit. This is averages, okay? We're going off of averages. It might be different for you. You might be able to close every single person that's there, but that's not the average. And we need to work off of averages because you might be the anomaly. So if 1 person purchases and they purchase the Family Essentials kit, right? And that is 115 PV, then guess how much money you make? $23 off all that work, talking to 30, inviting 10, 3 people attending. Now, it could happen that 1 person becomes a rock star and they build a huge business, but can we bank on that for a duplication model? No. That's the exception to the rule, and we cannot have duplication models based on exceptions. So that 1 person purchasing, you made $23. When your spouse comes home that night with the kids and, he says to you, so how'd the class go? And you say, well, 3 people came. And he goes, oh, really? Just 3? And he's like, how many people purchased? And you say, well, 1. And they bought a Family Essentials kit. And then he says, well, how much money did you make? And you say, $23. He'll probably look at you and say, you spent more money on just the treats and the samples. And how many times can that happen before either the sharer or the builder decides, I guess this isn't really for me, and I'm just going to share when it's convenient because I love the oils and I believe in them. Or the spouse just says, I'm not willing to watch the kids if we're only making $23 each time. I mean, it's hard. And so already this is a really ineffective cycle. So next, for that 1 person that actually purchased, what percentage of people, okay, across the board, what percentage of people company-wide get on LRP out of that 1? Well, when you do it ineffectively and all your people aren't prepped properly, only 25% get on LRP. So 1/4 of the people that purchase a kit get on LRP. The average LRP company-wide hovers right around 100 PV. So the average is about 100. So here's where your math comes in. You take 100, right? And you divide it by 25, and you end up with 25 PV. So that's how much you make PV, 25. Now, I'm just counting this first time, 1 time 25 PV, but they could stay on LRP for a long time. So you could have 25, coming in every single month for a while. So if we add those 2 numbers together, 25 plus 115, right? That is 140. So basically what you made off of that class is 140 PV. Now, of course, the LRP won't even fire until the next month, and that's if they got on LRP right away. So really for that month, you've made 115 PV, and the next month, the other 25 shows up. But let's just for the sake of easy numbers, let's add it all together, and we're not going to worry about like when it happens. But what you've produced is 140 PV from that 1 class. Now, our next step is out of those people that come to a class and purchase, out of everyone that purchases and enrolls in doTERRA, what percentage of people become sharers and builders? Well, this is easy because we know the company has said this and posted this a lot, that 85% of the company are just product users. That's what they want to do. They just want to use the product. So 15% of the people that enroll in doTERRA want to share or build. Now, if you take that one person, right, that enrolled, and you divide that by 15%, so if you said that one person will become a sharer, that would be 100% of the people that enrolled. No, it's only 15%. So it's actually 0.15% will become a sharer or a builder out of that class. And I know that 0.15 of a person is hard to understand. And as we do lots and lots of classes, these numbers make more sense. But for this one class is 0.15. Now, if that sharer or builder holds a class and they do exactly what you did, the ineffective way of building, and they invite 30 people, 10 come to a class, 3 people attend, 1 person purchases, 0.25 get on LRP, then what they will produce, because it's only 0.15 of everything, so if you have 140 divided by 0.1 or times by 0.15, you end up with 21 OV right over here. If you can see that, 21 OV. So with your 140 that you bring in from the class and that 21 OV that comes in from the sharer, you end up with 161 OV total. Not necessarily that month, because sometimes it takes a while for them to become a sharer and it takes a while for them to host a class. But from that class, this is what happens in the future from that one class. Now, could it bring in a lot more than that? Absolutely. You could have that sharer do 4 or 5 classes or 6 classes or 10 classes. But many people just host one class. So we're going off, the lowest common denominator here. So let's take 160 OV. And if we want to be elite with 3,000 points, if we take 3,000 divided by 161, which is what we brought in from that class, that means we'd have to have 18.63 classes to become an elite. Now, all of this volume, I recognize, doesn't come in all in one month. So possibly you won't even be an elite because it doesn't all come in all in one month. But just for the sake of numbers, you would have to have 18.63 classes. But this is the most discouraging part. If you have 18 classes and to have each class you needed to talk to 30 people, the average person would have to talk to 559 people. That is outrageous. And yeah, sometimes they'll go back to the same people over and over, but that's hard to do. And a lot of people feel, like, oh my goodness, she's asked me 4 times. That's when we kind of start feeling like MLM-y, right? But how many people would be willing to host 18 classes and talk to 559 people? And do you know how much the average elite makes? Well, they make only between, $300 to $500. So would you do all that work for $300 to $500 a month? Most people would say, this is not a good business plan. If I went to a bank and said, can you loan me some money? This is my business plan. They would look at my business plan and say, that's not viable. No. And I want you to realize something. Now that you know this and you know these numbers are real and this is happening for the majority of people, when you look at someone's face and they say, yeah, I'd like to share, or I'd like to build the business too. And you say, okay, I can totally help you do that. And you don't teach them how to properly sample and follow up and invite, you're setting them up for failure. Or at least you're setting up to be a lot less than they originally hoped that they wanted to be. And we need to be integritous. We need to have integrity when we talk to people. So now that we're sufficiently depressed, I want to say one more thing. So why is doTERRA so big? Why is doTERRA so successful if this is a lot of what people are doing in the field? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the oils work so well. And most of the people in the company are so passionate about the oils, they can't help but share and talk about it with other people, regardless of how much they make, regardless if they rank advance or not. And that is the beauty of doTERRA. But imagine with how well the oils work and how great our compensation plan, if we could just tweak this program from ineffective to effective, imagine how powerful the downline would be. So let's try it. Let's look at this. So I have built for 10 years all over the world, in Asia, in Europe, in America, in Canada, I mean, everywhere, in Mexico, built all over the world, and have used this system. And when people follow this system, and what I'm talking about this system is sampling, following up, correctly inviting, following up for the invitation, giving a class that is simple and fun and interactive, and making sure that we help enroll people the right way into in the wellness consults, and then inviting them to continuing education. These are the numbers that we're seeing. These are the averages now, and they're very different. Number one, we don't have to talk to as many people. Why? I mean, does that make sense? Well, let me tell you why. Because when you're making a list and then you're rating your people on the 7 qualities of people that have become diamonds, so the 7 qualities of people that we're looking for that naturally do better. And if you don't know those qualities, go back to the beginning of the Daily Mentor calls and listen to them. Well, you're working with a little bit more qualified people. So usually you only have to talk to 20, because after you rate them and you see the ones that have 4, 5, and 6, and 7 points, those are the ones that we're sampling first and we're talking to first. So talking to 20 people, and when you do the sampling and follow up correctly, when you actually put time and energy into the sampling and following up, because a lot of people think, oh my gosh, this is a waste of time, this is a waste of energy. Well, you'll see by the end of this cycle, it is not a waste of time. In fact, the ineffective way is a waste of time. That if you get to, if you sample them correctly and invite correctly and follow up, and you don't invite to a class until they have a great oil experience, you don't do that. You have your 10 people that say, yeah, I'll come to a class, and they're excited. They're actually already ready to buy because they've had a great experience and they know what they want. And all you have to do at a class is just show them that, hey, this is not just about one oil. This is about having everything at, your fingertips to change your lifestyle in your home. Guess what? 8 people attend. 8 people attend the class. We have an 80% attendance rate, which is way higher. It's almost 3 times as high. And it makes all the difference in the world. And watch this. If 8 people attend the class and all 8 people are there because they've had a great experience, and you haven't even invited them to class until they do, and you teach a fun, interactive, simple class that's fantastic, guess what happens? 6 people. 6 people actually purchase Family Essentials kits. The last one was 1. It's the difference between 1 person purchasing and 6. Now, it's still the same kit. That's still the same average kit across the board. I wish it was higher, but it's not. That's okay. So if 6 people purchase a Family Essentials kit at 115 PV, you have a total of 690 OV that comes in that night. What do you make off, those people that purchase that night? Instead of $23 in the ineffective way, you make $138. And that sounds a lot better to your spouse when he walks home and he says, how'd the class go? And you're like, amazing. So 8 people were here, 6 of them purchased, and just tonight I made $138. That's awesome. That's something doable. We could do that again and again. So out of those 6 people that purchase Family Essentials kits, right? What percentage of people now get on LRP? Well, when it's done correctly and you have the right class, and you're talking to the people that have already had a great experience, and you follow up and have wellness classes right away, and you do the wellness consult well, you're looking at half. Half the people, instead of 25%, we raise it to 50%. So half the people enroll on LRP. The average is still the same. It's around 100 PV LRP, the average. So that brings in a total of 300 OV. Now remember, I want to be clear on something. That 300 OV isn't going to happen until the next month, right? Because LRP doesn't fire until the next month. But for the sake of numbers, we're just going to kind of add it together because we're trying to figure out what this one class can produce, okay? So 690 plus 300 we know is 990. Out of those 3 people that enroll on LRP, what percentage of those 3 people become sharers or builders? Well, in the duplication model, you're actually giving them 10 opportunities. You open the door 10 times for them to become a sharer or a builder, which is way different, way different than if they just happen upon it, or if you call them back and say, hey, I was wondering if you want to hold a class. They have 10 different opportunities. Most people don't even give them a couple opportunities. So out of the 3 people that enroll in LRP, 1 becomes a sharer or a builder. So we're raising that to a third, so 33% instead of 15%, which is more than doubling, which is great. Okay, so now let's talk about this sharer or builder. Now, if this sharer or builder is taught exactly how to effectively build, how to share, how to sample, how to follow up, how to invite, how to teach a class, how to get people on LRP, he's going to do the exact same class as you, exactly the same class as you, and bring in the same money that you did, which is 990 OV. Do you understand? So he would talk to 20 people, and 10 would say yes, 8 people would come, 6 would buy at 115, so he'd bring in 690 that night, and then 3 would get on LRP, so he'd bring in 300, so 690 plus 300 for him would be 990, just like you. He'd do the same class as you. So now we're going to add up what you brought in, which is 990, plus what he's going to bring in from one class, which is 190 or 990. And again, he could do a lot more classes, right? So it could be a lot more. And you come up with a total volume of 1980. That's a big difference. 1980 is a huge difference than 161. 1980 OV. Now, let's go back to the elite. If you need 3,000 OV, right, and you take 3,000 divided by 1980, how many classes do you need? 1.5 classes. And how many people are you going to be talking to? 30.3. A third of a person you're going to be talking to. 30 people, which is a big difference between hundreds and hundreds, over 500 people in the last class, in the last slide. Now, I do want to tell you one caveat. All of this volume is not going to come in 1 month, right? And you have to become elite, all the volume has to come in 1 month. So let me just break it down for you. In month 1, like the very first month, all you can really do is, if you're starting a brand new leg, all you can count is just your the OV that you brought in for the 6 people that purchased those kits, which is 690. So if you take 690 and you divide and you times it by 4, let's say you had 4 classes in 1 month and you wanted to go elite in that first month. So if you had 4 classes and all you can count is just the kits that you sell, that's $2,760. So either you have to sell a little bit, 1 or 2 people have to buy a bigger kit, which is totally a possibility, or you have to have 5 classes. So if month 1, you want to go elite in that month, well, you do 4 really effective classes, a little over 4. Well, month 2, what will happen is, look here where the people that you enrolled, the 3 people that you enrolled bring in 300 OV, right? They bring in 300 OV. Well, if you have 4 classes the first month, that 300 OV is times by 4, which is 1,200. So month 2, when the LRPs fire, that's 1,200 OV, plus if your builders, if these people that came in from your classes, if they have a class, and remember, if you do 4 classes, you're going to find 4 sharers or builders. So 4, right? 4 times 690, if they also do the same class and bring in 690 OV, so 4 times 690 is, actually, I don't have that number right now. Let me do it on my calculator really fast. Hold on. 4 times 690, it's 2,760. So you take all of their family essentials kits that they sold, 2,760, and you add it to the LRP that you did from your classes that's firing this month. That's 3,960. Now you're elite in 1 month. Elite in 1 month, solid elite. Now, what about month 3? Month 3. If you didn't do classes, which is not what we're going to teach, but let's just say you're carrying over your 1,200 LRP, no more classes, and the 4 classes that your builders taught are going to carry over their 1,200 OV, so you're at 2,400. So month 3, you wouldn't be a solid elite with just OV, like solid forever. You kind of go back. So that is why we have a program, and it's called 6 Weeks to Elite. It's on call 40. You'll get to it in a little bit, but it's on call 40 of how you can build in 6 weeks the way that you build in 6 weeks to become solid elite forever. But for just this one, for this one, class here, or for this one webinar, I want to show you how effective this is. It's so much more effective. It's the difference between 1.5 classes and a little over 18 classes. So sometimes when I talk about sampling and following up and enrolling, and they think to themselves, "Oh, this is so much work, and this is too much time," I want you to think about these two, ineffective and effective building styles. Which one really is more work? Well, of course, it's the ineffective one. This effective one, if you put time into your preparation, if you put time into sampling, if you put time into following up and into inviting and teaching the right classes, this is so much less work. I can't tell you enough. I would like to just shout it from the rooftops. Spend your time in your prep and learning these principles. And then if you learn how to effectively get people and yourself to elite, this style, you can look at anyone that comes your way and says, "Call, I think I'm interested in doTERRA," or "I think I really want to start sharing," and say to them, "I know exactly how to do it. I know exactly how to teach you. And I know that if you follow this, you will be effective and it will work for you." And you can look at them in the eye with full integrity, knowing that it works, because it does. And you guys, it's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So my suggestion to you is, if you don't know all of these principles, if you don't know all the things like how to sample properly and how to follow up, and if you're not good at these, if you haven't learned these skills, take the time to go back and learn these skills, because truly it's way, way more effective to build this way and put your time into prep. And then I just want to, just something fun, okay? If you know how to do this once, let's say if you did it for yourself and you became elite, well, then all you need to do is do the same exact principles for 3 legs. 3 people that are committed and capable, right? And you teach them the same thing, and guess what? You become silver, because they all become elite. And if you do that 12 times, just 12 elites on your second level, and you teach them how to do this, you are diamond, making an average of $16,000 a month. And let's take it to even, one more step. A presidential diamond, which for some of you seems so far away and so hard. If you learn these basic building blocks, you just keep stacking them on top of each other. So for me, guess what that means for me? I have to teach 54 people how to do this, how to become an elite, and how to build effectively. And if I do that for 54 people, right, on my 3rd level, then I become a presidential diamond. And the average presidential diamond makes $100,000 a month. So let me ask you this. Which way is more effective? I think you know the answer. Thanks for joining me today on today's webinar, and good luck with choosing the effective elite cycle. Bye-bye, everyone.